right, so we've gone far in this painting so far, haven't we? I think we really are taking this to the next level. And I have my customized stencils over here, and we're getting ready to go to that next level of detail. So, looking at this painting, I'm just going to kind of think out loud, move along, that sort of thing. Maybe last week I was using, I believe, sepia, and I was just thinning that down like 3:1 with 4011 and kind of moving around. Today's probably going to be a little bit more about tight detail. So let's go ahead and work on her eyes, shall we? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the eye on camera left, and we're going to see if we can bring some more life to her. Not that she needs that, but I think we can do that. Let's see. So I'm going to get my reference. If you don't have the program Pure Ref, I highly recommend it. It really is amazing. Who out there has Pure Ref? If you're not watching it live, in the comments, tell me if you have Pure Ref. That would be cool. I'm going to take a paper towel, and I am going to kind of blot up some extra moisture that's here when I re-wet the palette. The palette is a type of rice paper that sits over a sponge that is saturated, and that little thing helps to keep everything super wet. Now I am like mega organized in comparison lately, which is really great. And remember I started working in golden paint for the detail? Well, I found that that probably wasn't the best thing because you're mixing acrylic and Createx together, so I went back to using just Createx for this, the Wicked paint. Some illustration paint going back and forth, right? So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the detail smoke and some of the illustration opaque white, and we're going to work on the gray of her eye, right? The gray area of her eye. And I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. Now it's not just gray, it has a little bit of flesh tone in it, so I'm going to put some flesh tone in there. I'm going to see how this goes. It's definitely eyeglass territory, right? That's for sure. So we got 62% yes for the underpainting and 38% no, but a big switch. So a lot of underpainting people now. Let's see how this looks. See, I want to do the darker side of the eye before I come in with the eyelashes. So how's everyone's week going? Let me see if I missed any comments. I think I did. It's up here. Oh, look at this. So we have Dan says 23. Air Todd says 66. Bobby is 27. These are degrees in Fahrenheit. Hey, Brad, how's it going? Great to see you. Michael McGlung, great to see you. How's it going? Michael from the Baltimore area. Brad from Manitoba. And so, great group. And I don't know what that program is. Oh, yes. So it's a great program. It's called Pure Ref, P-U-R-E-F. And it basically is a program that allows you to have your reference photo always on top when you're working. And you can put other photos in it. It's really fantastic. I'm going to send you a link, Bobby, later today. You'll love it. If anyone wants me to send a link to Pure Ref, just let me know. I'll make it happen. Maybe a little more of this really great color. Detail smoke. I love detail smoke. Who doesn't like detail smoke, right? It's just an amazing color. And I'm going to get a little cup. And I'm going to put some 4011 in it because I want to clean my brushes. We're going to come back in with some paintbrush, airbrush techniques. Oh, fantastic. Oh, and the split cam. Oh, the split cam is just amazing. That's what I use for my live streams. It's simple and efficient like me. And that's what I want. Just simplicity and efficiency. I want it to work when it works, when I call it to work. And I don't need any bells and whistles. Let's see. So I'll zoom out and show you what I'm doing. So right here you can see I'm mixing the, I want it a little bit darker. I'm just going to mix that dark there. And so that is so cool. So 62% say they prefer using underpaintings. And that poll's going to be on till the end of the live stream. Mr. Michael McClung, thank you for the super chat, sir. I really appreciate you on this cold, cold Wednesday night. Your kindness is so appreciated, sir. Your friendship. And, you know, thank you from the bottom of my heart of being part of this live stream journey that I'm on. I mean, I can't do it with without great friends like yourself. And just really, I don't know if I would be able to do it without people like yourself, people coming every week, you know, and just hanging out and just keeping this live stream growing, and just so many great people coming aboard. And I'm so thankful for you, Mr. Michael McClung, all the way from the Baltimore, well, the Maryland area. And great painting of Suzanne Summers that you did. I really love that piece. And so you see, now I'm kind of working on that. I'm going to have to lighten that up. So I have my water. And I'm just going to get some of this wicked detail opaque white. And so, Bobby, that is great. You are amazing, sir. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And here goes. Now, I'm using this white, and the trick is to be as transparent as possible. So I'm going to use a little more 4011 with this. And I'm just going to ever so lightly come over this, like here. And this is cool. There's a little bit of light on the upper part of her eyelid. So we're just going to bring this over, like so. And it kind of doesn't translate from far away, I mean from up close, but from far away it'll look good. And maybe I can come back in with the darker color now, this darker gray, and kind of even this out. Always check and see if the iris, this, you know, the round part of the eyeball, see if that clears the lower eyelid. Sometimes it's covered by the lower eyelid, sometimes it isn't. Right? And that looks pretty good. And it's a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go and kind of combine the darker gray and the lighter gray right now. And maybe we can just glaze this shadow here. Whoop. Sort of a dry brush technique. And maybe come back in here. And Mr. Roy, how's it going? Great to see you. And Michael says, coming from you, that's a heck of a compliment. Thank you, sir. No, that comes from the heart. You're doing really great. So I really love your work. I love the subject matter. And, you know, it's bold and daring and just all in all, just amazing artwork, sir. Glad to have you part of the airbrush community. Oh yes, it's on Facebook. Yes, definitely. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm going to clean my brush, and I want to do, I want to go ahead and lightly finish off the roundness of her iris. There we go, and it comes out here. There we go. And just look at the fullness of the iris, you know. Yeah, definitely, Bobby. You'll love that piece. Very good. And I'm going to move on over to the other eye. And you always want to check the other eye. Make sure that the relationship, the irises are not always the same exact size. They're generally the same size. Almost the size that I want. We're getting a little bit of a glare here. Let's see. So let me see if I can just move this over and get rid of some of that glare. A little bit of 4011. Now what's happening is the glare you're seeing is the wet of the paint, but when that dries, that's going to regulate. So her iris all this time was a little bit too small on both eyes. And I'm just making those irises bigger now. Oh, another one you have started is called the Sunflower Clown. Wow, I gotta see that. I think I did. And it's interesting because you find out at the end of a painting a lot of reasons when everything starts falling to place why I didn't have the exact likeness, because something like this was off and I really couldn't see it was off until the other pieces kind of fell into place. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with her eyes, giving a nice soft feeling, so I like that a lot. And we're going to take this same and we're going to start hitting some of the eyelashes. And now I'm working on the eyelashes on camera left. And So we're all looking forward to seeing Mr. Michael's next piece. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, so why now? Can I pull your piece off of the Facebook to show everybody, Mr. Michael, for the first time doing the profile, the community artist profile of the week? Would that be something that we can do, Michael? Michael has a little bit of it going, and to take a lot of work. It's going to be fun. I think the clown and the sunflower. So we're going to take I'm gonna get the really cool Suzanne Summers piece, and I am going to have that at the 10 o'clock hour, and that's going to be fun. We'll look at that, and this way we can show off Mr. Michael's work. So that's what we're going to do this week. And if anyone wants to volunteer for next week, let me know. Little 4011. So I have a really good tight detail paintbrush. Let me get that. I just purchased it at El Hobby Lobby. This is the Master's Touch Aligner brush. Let's see how this works, shall we? Let's get some of this here. Let's see if this works better for me. There we go. Now what I can do is kind of deepen the lower eyelid here. This comes down a little bit more. Kind of deepen this. There, that feels better. Go back to this here with the 4011. So that's cool. And Mr. Shine Travis, all the way from Minnesota, how's it going? Ah, thank you, sir. I'm glad you're liking the way she's looking. Travis says his next portrait is going to be a Mr. John Deere, an old John Deere tractor. Wow, that's going to be amazing. You know, all those different textures are probably going to be very fun to explore, right, sir? So I'm looking forward to seeing that, as everyone else is. Then we have, remember, we don't want equidistant or the same size, right? We want to stay away from that. But this really tight detail paintbrush is really helping me out. Now I'm going to, on purpose, keep them from being equidistant and the same size. And then we got little baby ones right here. Eyelashes, that is. I'm going to dilute the paint quite a lot for that. Wow, 70% underpainting now. There we go. And maybe just one more over here. There we go. Trying to keep everything from equidistant in the same size. And we're going to see what we have on the other eye. And this is like the detail that, you know, is fun to do because you work so hard to get there. Love this detail brush here. and some really nice light ones. Just reload a little bit. Always do that 1 second look, 1 second rule, and make sure we clean up these brushes. You don't want the wicked paint eating up those brushes, so keep them clean, right? That's so important. So very crucial to do. And all right, so now we've been waiting all this time. Let's see if we can go ahead and put in the highlights of her eyes here. So we're going to put a little bit of gray in there. And okay, so let's blow this up so we can see the detail together. Hey, Mr. Dwayne, all the way from San Luis de Obispo. How's it going, sir? Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to see you. And let's go ahead and put the tiniest amount of a light gray and see how this does. A little bit here. And notice that it's not pure white. That's important. And we'll go on over to our other eye. And put a little bit of highlight right there. And let's see, where can we put a little bit of highlight right here. And maybe just the tiniest bit of highlight right here. Light pressure is almost like putting light pastel on here. And let's take a look and see what we have. So there, she's starting to come to life a little bit, which is good. And so looking for that. Now let's go ahead and let's put the highlight on her nose, since we have this kind of nice, kind of transparent white thing happening here. And we're just going to intensify this. We already have a light, but we're going to intensify. There we go. And there is a little bit of a highlight, so I'm going to be very weary about this, you know. Just there's a little bit of a highlight right here on her nose. And just ever so lightly I'm going to put it there, kind of lost and found light highlight right there. Nothing too crazy, just sometimes you just have to lightly go over that. Mr. Ryan, how's it going, sir? Always great to see you from Detroit, Michigan. Have you guys got a lot of snow? We just got like an inch of ice, really. Inch of snow, inch of ice. That's basically it, you know. So great to see you, Ryan. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to put a little bit of light here on her nostril, the wing of her nostril. So I'm kind of glazing with this kind of gray color, which is really cool. And so I could actually come in with this wicked paint, just, you know, really kind of watered down with the 4011, and just paint it like as if I'm painting in watercolor, opaque watercolor that is. And the thing is, don't get intimidated, you know, just go for it, you know, just go right for it. and you know, be cautious, but don't don't be fearful, I should say. And then you really start. Now's the time to get the expression of this beautiful girl, and that's the fun part. There we go. Love that. Maybe just calm that down a little bit. But now she's starting to come to life. Now I feel like we're getting somewhere. You know, what was my initial goal of this painting? And this is where, you know, like, okay, so 2 hours, and you figure this is part six. This is probably like the 14th hour. So really about the 14th hour that things start to, you know, come together. Nice highlight right here. I'm going to accentuate it because I like her chin from the beginning. And I kind of want to accentuate that kind of poutiness that she has. And now we're going to use that same color. And we're going to glaze. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Great to see you, sir. Now, Mark, what part of the country are you from? I believe it was the Midwest somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. It's great to see you. I remember you saying on Facebook that you had strep throat. So I'm glad you're feeling better. Thank God. So that is good. That's a rough thing, this strep throat that's going around, and I'm so glad you're over it because that stuff is scary, isn't it? And so now it's okay. I'm liking it. Let's work on her lips here. Now where we put the highlights is going to actually describe the shape of her lips. If we do it too high or too low, it's going to change who she is. So you got to make sure that you put those highlights in the right area. Okay. Since we have some wet paint, we're getting a little bit of glare, so I do apologize for that. And right here, we have a little bit of a highlight. So if I go really light pressure, it's not going to be white. It's just going to lighten whatever color's there, which is great. So the mouth is much more complex than we give it credit for. It's not just upper lip, lower lip. There's a lot going on, you know? All right, so let's see. So perhaps we can start going in a little bit with her hair. Let's make that. Actually, I think we can work on her hand a little bit, right? We can definitely. So I'm really happy with what's going on with the lips. Maybe I can darken this reddish color between her lips, right? So if ever anyone wants to take my class, I have my own way of finding colors, and it's pretty darn accurate, everybody. It's almost like 100% accuracy. And so if anyone is interested, you know, I may do a online course on my way. I know Drew Blair has an amazing color method, which is great. I have a different color method, so, but yeah, I mean, what Drew does is amazing. His students are able to find that color immediately, which is always amazing how he does that. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project here. And then I'm going to find the color. Michael says, her lips look very fantastic, just like the bomber jacket. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. More than you know, my friend. Thank you. And I'm going to bring in the picture into my program. So and so we have to find her. And also what's really important when you're, you know, an airbrush artist, a painter, in any medium, you have to make sure that you get your reference materials in a good file system. That's really going to be important because you need to find them pretty quickly. Well, look at me, not exactly the fastest, but I still found them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the color of the lips, and with this kind of 5-step program, I could find it. So it's telling me that the main color is like I would say the main color, if I look at it, it would probably be like, let me see what color, maybe Detail Carmine is going to be the main color. So I'm going to put some Detail Carmine right here. And it's moving a little bit towards the magenta, so I'm going to get a little tiny bit of magenta, and that's going to be Detail Magenta as soon as I find it. You know, as I become more experienced in painting, I'm finding magenta is more and more important when painting flesh, you know? So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to put some magenta. Let me see if I'm at the right screen. Let's see here. Okay, so here we're going to put some magenta pretty close. Maybe right here. Now looking at this, it's telling me that that color is almost a pure color of those two, and maybe just a little bit, a tiny bit of a gray with that. So I'm going to get my paintbrush, and I'm going to get a little tiny bit of the Detail Smoke. That's one of my favorite colors. Go out, and if you're ever at the store, or pick up some Detail Smoke. You won't be sorry. And then when you get it, you'll be like, Tim, I'm glad I got Detail Smoke. Because you'll find you'll be using it a lot. It's like using India ink, right? And Steve Leahy shows up with some birthday cake. Oh man, that's right. Today's Steve Leahy's birthday. Happy birthday to you out there if you're watching this in recording, sir. Airbrush world would not be the same without you, sir. That is totally the truth. So I'm going to mix these two, mostly Carmine, right? And then I'm going to add some Detail Smoke. Hey Colette, how's it going? Great to see you. How are you today? All the way from Wisconsin. So glad to see you. Colette and I are working on an oil painting of some oranges, which is amazing. Really enjoying that. So I'm introducing the Detail Smoke to this combination of Carmine and magenta, mostly Carmine, just a little bit of magenta. And so that is pretty much it. Now let's go and make this happen. So we'll go back to the painting here, and let's see how this measures up. So we'll zoom in. And I'm going to kind of glaze this, right? So I'm going to get rid of a lot of excess moisture. Now, the camera is kind of deceiving because it's shining, the lights are shining on the red. I mean the wet color. So we're kind of doing a glaze in a sense. So I'm going to switch brushes because a brush is definitely worth, sacrificing a brush is always worth doing a good painting. So I'm going to get that color again with this new brush. It's going to give me better detail. Whenever I'm at Hobby Lobby, I always go ahead and try and purchase a cheap airbrush that's, you know, good quality but still cheap. They have them on sale, I think, every 2 weeks. So whenever I call first and see if the brushes are on sale, and then you get this brush for like $2, even if I use it and draw it out, it's still a great deal, right? And let's zoom out. Here we go. And I think this could go in the nostrils too. So Brad says, Tim, whoever said that you couldn't do color must be really choking on their words right now. She looks fantastic. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. You know, I was talking to Colette today, and the fact is that when we go into color, it's like a rabbit hole. You know, it's much more complicated than I gave it credit for, because the more you learn, the more we have to learn, right? It's just never ending, like chess. The more you play chess, we don't say we know chess. We just say like, wow, I have to learn this opening, I have to learn that opening. And so like with this here, you can see how even though the nostrils are a dark color, it's not just a simple black, right? There's a lot of color going on in here. And we got to make sure we kind of do like a dry brush technique. So we want to darken her nostrils, but not too much. And thank you so much for that, Brad. I appreciate your encouragement, sir, always. Always great working with you in class. It's always an honor. Just sort of a dry brush to do the dark of the nostril there. There we go. And so really just getting more and more of her, I don't know how you say, more and more of her character. So remember, we're going to go to her hands, and we're going to take this same magenta carmine color with a little bit of our detail smoke. It's going to be a beautiful, rich, kind of warm black. And we're going to start to apply some of these areas. There we go, like that, like so. And we'll make sure we thin this out with 4011. And then it's a little bit of a dark right at this particular knuckle coming down. Just giving some solidity to her hand, right? Very important. Ah, thanks, Ryan. Ryan says this is no easy task at this size. So true, Ryan. I appreciate it. It can get pretty wild when you delve into it all. It's so true, Ryan, right? When you really get into color, it's like it just gets deeper and deeper, right? And that's it, you know? It's like we never arrive, really. It just, things get more complex and more simplified, right? So that's how I feel. And let's see, so where else can I add just a little bit of darkness here into her finger? Well, then it gets, maybe we can add some of this flesh tone here to what's happening. Maybe a little bit of orange. And perhaps we can kind of in a very fine way separate those fingers from one another. Let's see here. There we go. Like in each finger there's like a little separation line. So a combination of this orange color. Let's bring more of this orange color over. I think that's wicked orange, everybody. And you know, if she has like a knuckle that's bony, maybe you can, you know, make it less bony, you know, for pictorial purposes. At this stage, you can make those decisions if you want. Michael says one time he had his hand too close to the wet palette and got the paint on the baby finger and then got the paint on the painting. Oh man, I've been there, and like that sounds similar to some of the things I've done in oil painting, definitely. Oh my god, that is frustrating. Believe me, I feel your pain with that one. And I'm just going to kind of do some linear aspects of her hand here. But it's not just the magenta and carmine, a little more orange. There we go. Kind of separate those fingers. So it's not easy, but I think it's best when working with Wicked to do the details with Wicked paint and the paintbrush. I think that's important. And just a little bit of darkness on the crease of the upper eyelid. There we go. Just bring that out a little bit. So that's cool. So what we're doing is, this week's going to be the first one where we will show a painting of one of our community members and just kind of put the spotlight on you guys for a change, guys and girls, which I think is great. So I'm probably going to have to change the paper on this. That's definitely going to happen. So you're going to see how I do that. That's always going to be interesting. Let's see. Okay, so that is good. Maybe I could work on some of the creases in her hand here. I can see that's a little dark, so maybe we could add a little more flesh color to the mix. Okay. All right, so that's going to be it for now. So right now we're at 10:19, and what we're going to do is, let's see, going to make sure our brushes are clean with that 4011. You don't want that your brushes sitting in that, so make sure you get that really light. So before we get Mr. Michael's painting out, we're going to retire this sheet here, and it's messy, so we're going to try and not have it spill on our foam here. Now we do got to worry about mold and stuff like that, which is always fun. Okay, so we're going to take this, I'm going to throw this away, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is by Redgrass. This is called the Wet Palette Light, and we're just going to use a little bit more water here. Just kind of saturate this. And kind of spread this out. That should be enough. And it comes with these little papers, like a rice paper. You get 50 sheets when you buy it, which is pretty good. That's going to last you some time. You figure you use a sheet a week maybe. So it could last you good. The way I paint, maybe, maybe 8 months. Okay, let's see. It might not be wet enough, but we're going to find out soon enough. So what they say to do is just to wet this whole area here and kind of saturate it. You think I should get my painting out of the way? Definitely. I'm going to saturate this. Let me get this young lady out of the way. Away from pending disaster. And now what we'll do is we'll kind of spread this out. So it kind of sticks to it. And I may have oversaturated it, but we'll find out. And what you want to do is smooth this out. Get rid of any air bubbles or anything like that. This looks pretty good. Now what you do when you have this is you take a paper towel and you may just dry the paper a little bit. It's still nice and wet and it's going to be nice and humid. So when you put the top back on at the end of the day, it's going to keep your paint fresh for like a week, which is great. And you see I'm getting rid of all the creases, at least trying. And you get 2 of these foam things, 2 or 3 of them. And so you have to replace them eventually. They get all mildewy and everything. Okay, so now we have that. We're going to put that aside. And we're going to go ahead and get Mr. Michael's image. And we're going to look at his great work. So let's see. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to go on to my Facebook account real quick. And let's go to there you are. And great. So here is the latest picture. So it is framed, which is amazing. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to save this. Save image. We're going to put this in community artwork. And we'll put this in a new folder. Community art. And this one is going to be called Suzanne. So Mike, we do have that saved. We're going to be bringing that in. Let's see. I'm going to come over here. Image. Pictures. Okay, so very cool. This is Mr. Michael's work. So I'm very excited and honored to have his work on our site here, on our live stream. And I'll make it bigger. And so Mike, how let's hear, how did you do the kind of chrome that we see here on the actual door handle? That's really amazing. So that's really cool. So really amazing how you did the bouquet in the background. Just really great work. Really very happy. You should be very happy with this. Hey Gary, how's it going? How's everything, sir? Always a pleasure. I'm so glad you're here. And Gary, I know I keep forgetting, but eventually I will remember. What part of the U.S. are you from, sir? Ah, so Bobby says, nice job. Great. So really loving that. So that is great. It's really wonderful the way you got um, the way you did her face, where the values are very close together because she's far away in the lighting. That's really a home run. And oh, near Hershey, yes, definitely. Now I remember, definitely. And Michael says like the same technique that Steve Leahy has. Yes, I can see that. So you went in with the paintbrush. Is that what you did at this particular stage? So everyone's Ryan saying well done, Michael. Patty saying impressive. Bobby saying it's great. And JC saying it's great. So that's really amazing. So really loving it. And Mark W says can't remember the name of the movie. So that's cool. I'll let Michael say the name of the movie. And so I know there's a little bit of delay. So in just a few moments, Michael will name the movie. And I really love the car, the way the car came out. Uh, I haven't drawn or painted a lot of cars in my day, so I'm always impressed when people can paint cars, you know. And did you use Wicked paint or illustration paint with this, sir? Oh, American Graffiti. Yes, I do love the bokeh background, which is a photography term of having the foreground or your image really sharp and then the background blurry. That's a great technique, and I'm using that in this painting that we're doing in the live stream. So I really love that bokeh kind of look, or bokeh, depending how you say it, tomato, tomato. So really great. And oh yes, so Mark says American Graffiti, so that's sweet. He says. Now, is this Createx illustration or Createx Wicked that you're using here, especially in the flesh tones? Wow, that's great. 3 years. That's amazing. So that just shows the level of your talent, your natural ability, right? That's basically what I see is just plain old natural ability. And I can see you're taking it really seriously. You're working hard, and with the live streams and everything, so you're taking it up a level, which is great. It's a mixture of all and mostly illustration. Oh, so you're mostly an illustration kind of guy, which is very cool. And I was told by Dennis over at Createx, he's always very, very kind and forthcoming with his information. And he said if you add some 40/50 to it, the illustration becomes like Wicked paint anyway. So that's pretty wild. So very, very cool. So thank you so much, Michael, for being part of the first community artwork uh, section of the live stream. So great work. 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up, 4 thumbs up. I mean, it's great. So just amazing stuff, Michael. So like I said, someone can tell me if they want to be part of next week's community artwork feature. Let me know. And JC was going to say it took him back to the 90s where you would buy Lowrider Art magazine. Very cool. And I do have Wicked in there and 40/50. Very cool. That is very cool. All right, and I appreciate that so much. And now time to start your own live stream, Michael. That's what I'm talking about, Mike. That's coming down the pike pretty soon, right? How do you feel about doing something like that? Okay, so now let's do a little airbrushing here. We're going to maybe work on, let's see, maybe we could work on some of the background a little bit. Let's see what we can do. Maybe some over here kind of dust this back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a new cup. A new mixing cup. And, oh, Bobby says he doesn't have any artwork yet, but once he does take some classes from me, you will, definitely. You definitely will. So what I want to do is I want to kind of dust this off into like a warm color. So I'm going to do my technique of finding that color. So I'm just going to come back here to my program. And I'm just going to find this kind of warm color here. So it's telling me to start with orange and use a kind of a number 6 gray, right? So what I'm going to do, and let me see what the percentage is. So the percentage would be mostly gray, mostly that dark gray, and a little bit of the reddish orange color. So we're going to make our own gray, right? So what we're going to do, let's go back here. We're going to make our own gray. So I always like to start with white because white gets beat up by the gray. So, and I want a strong white this time, so I'm going to get detail flat opaque white. Let's see. I know I have an open bottle somewhere here. Actually, we can go with, this is open. Let's go with detail white. It's a little weaker, so we just have to put more of our white in here. So we'll put that in there like that. And Wicked is just amazing. I'm really enjoying it. So I don't want to go ahead and use, you know, detailed smoke. It's a little weak. And weakness is not, when we want a dark black like this, we definitely want a strong black. So here is Wicked Opaque Jet Black. I heard interesting things about this color. Now, Mr. Leahy said that he liked doing this on honor of his birthday. This is how Mr. Leahy said he opens it. So he will come like here, open it like almost all the way, and then he'll kind of peel it back. Let me see. It does work, but it works so much better with Mr. Leahy though. And I'm just going to default to the messy way and just peel this back. And we're going to mix this up really well. So let's see any comments I missed. What color matching program do you use? I use a program called Krita, and that's been really great. I have a real like 6-step program with that. That pretty much gets the color pretty quickly. So I may do a video. Ruth, how are you? Great to see you all the way from Arizona. How are you, Ruth? Ruth is a very talented painter, works in many, many mediums. And she has a live stream. Not a live stream, but she has a YouTube channel and just doing great things over there. Patty's saying she's signing off. Looks awesome, Tim. Night all. Have a great weekend, Patty. Please stay warm, okay? I know it's pretty wicked out there. Not like wicked paint, but it's wicked cold. And I'm going to put 2 drops in here and see what this does to it. And I'm going to put some 4011 in there first. Let's do 3-to-1 to start with. And you can see that now I am relatively organized now, so let's see how quickly I can get my palette knife. Not quick enough. Where is my palette knife? You know, when you paint a lot and you have several classes going, it's easy to kind of even lose momentum when you're trying to be organized, and that's where I am right now. So I'm just going to use this back of a paintbrush here. We're going to mix this like so. So you can see that's much lighter. So we want a very dark gray. So I'm going to add 3 more drops. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. That should really bring me where I want to be. Not really. So let's go 4 more. I'm really going in there. I'm going to see if this does it. So this white is really strong. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to save this in a cup. And we're getting close to that gray. And it's mostly gray with a little bit of that color. So let's see. I'm going to do this again. Make sure I have... Okay, so it's this reddish, or this kind of reddish orange color, and this gray that we have, which is pretty darn close. Maybe 2 more drops of white should do us. Let's see here. 2 more. 1, 2. Okay. And now this should bring us to where we want to be. Okay, so now we're going to go with that red-orange. And even though I want to see, like, with this red-orange color that I'm looking for, how would I get it? So I would definitely say, like, red and a little bit of red-orange. Maybe just a little bit in between the two. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a second cup. And I want like kind of like a fire engine red, so Wicked Red is always a good red. What do you guys think of Wicked Red? So let me know what your favorite primary red is with Wicked or Illustration. I know Illustration only has 2 reds, a lot more reds to choose from. I'm going to put this in here like that. And then we're going to put some orange. And you see I'm running out. I love Wicked Orange. That's always a good color. And we're going to maybe 3 to 1. You know, you don't want to go overboard. Now I can come in with the 4011 and do a 3 to 1 mixture. Trying to think. Oh, I found my palette knife. It was in the wrong drawer. Okay, that is way too red. So rather than go ahead and fight that red, I'm going to get a second cup. And thank God these cups are really inexpensive. I think for $15 I got like 1,000 of them. I think there's a link in the description for that. So I'm going to get the Wicked Orange that I had. I'm going to put that in a separate cup and add this, because sometimes you find that, you know, certain colors are just much more strong when mixing, and that's happening here. So I found my palette knife. It's just a plastic palette knife, but it works really good and it wipes off really well. That looks like the color. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'll take this off to the side. Now, what it's calling for is probably about 80% of I would say 80% of the gray. So we'll go ahead and just kind of mix that here. Feel like a mad scientist. A little more of this orange color. And then since I put more color in, what I want to do, now right here it's going to look just very gray, but when we spray it, it's going to have an orangey kind of color to it. Okay, so now we're going to put this in the airbrush, but before I do, I want it to flow through the airbrush. So I'm going, JC says, looks great. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much, JC. Always a pleasure. I hope you have a great week and a great weekend coming. I hope you get a lot of relaxation. Ryan says he has several reds. Bobby says Wicked Red he's using now, and for his scale fire truck. I love Wicked Red. It's a nice color. It tends to be a little bit on the blue side, though. I may be wrong. Okay, we're going to put this in our airbrush. Let's bring our young lady over. And we're just going to darken this area here. So I'm going to put it in my Extreme Patriot arrow. There we go. And I'm going to go back to the program. So I want to kind of spray this area, kind of make it go in the background, sort of a glaze, right? And you can see how it really is becoming that kind of reddish gray as I just let it sit there a little bit. So that's cool. And just a tiny bit here, not much. There we go. Make sure we put our cap on. Now before we ever paint, we always want to test spray to make sure that, you know, the airbrush was put together right last night when I cleaned it. And you can see getting a nice flow. Everything's working correctly. I'm going to put a magnet here so she doesn't blow away. We don't want her to blow away. And what I can do is just kind of darken this up here. I'm going to be pretty far, maybe about 6 inches away. Because this is on the other side of the window, so it has to be dark and kind of more fuzzy. And then this will be much darker. And then I want to sharpen that window, and so now it looks like whatever's back there is back in space. I can always take a post-it note. Post-it notes are great, not just for sending really cool notes to somebody in the office. Like, where are we going to lunch? I remember what it was like. Okay. Okay, so it's nice. We're going to keep that nice hard edge. And then right here it's darker. So I'm probably going to go down to 4 inches. There we go. So that was actually the exact color I wanted using that kind of 5-step process. And this color right here is that color too. It's just going to give it some nice atmosphere. Pushing that background back. And Dwayne says he's like all the 3 Wicked Reds, but Len tend to use Wicked Red, the regular red. That's a great red. I really can see why you like it so much. It's a real middle of the road. Just kind of goes a little bit towards the blue in my own opinion, but that's how I see it. So I like it. What do you think of the opaque Pyro Red by Wicked? Have you tried that so far, Dwayne? And Ryan says trying to paint a car for his dad, and he's using Tim Gore's Blood Red. Wow, that's a great one. So, love Tim Gore's Life. I have the Lifeline colors, which is part of the Tim Gore series, but more for flesh, which is really amazing. And Michael says, night JC. So, I can definitely see your reservation of Crimson. It tends to be a little more on the purple side, doesn't it? What do you all think about that, the difference between the two? This is almost like an alizarin crimson, right? So yeah. And remember, if it's a darker color, that means black most likely is added to it. And what is black but a really dark blue? So that gives it that kind of purple feeling, especially when you dilute it and spray it, right? So great call, Mr. Dwayne, always with the great information, sir. Live stream would not be the same without you. And I always appreciate your feedback and your expertise. And so that is always great. So now I'm just darkening up here. Especially in the beige area, you can see how it really fits. Okay, so you see how that goes back nicely. And where else can I see this color, but maybe a little bit stronger? Definitely right here. Just darken this. Kind of the rubber corking there, right there. And then, now I do have a kind of a piece that I can use as a frisket. Let's see, so I put this here. And we'll use our magnets. And then we'll go right along the edge there, the inner edge here. Make sure we're getting it good. Now this is one of the few times where you're going to go parallel and not perpendicular. Mike McClung says, Steve did a series where he did 6 red cars. Yes, that's the red series using the Pyro Red. Very true. And Pyro Red is awesome, definitely, Bobby. And Dwayne says, the Crimson works great when he's doing a gothic or dark fantasy style. About the only time he uses it. Is it like a really good blood color, would you say, sir? So we're going to kind of have that. And then here, we're going to put it again, and we're going to put a nice dark on the edge, sort of like a reflection. Let's see how this looks so far. Yeah, so you see how we're getting that window coming along as well. And let's put it right here. Put that right here. And now we're going to put sort of a kind of a cast shadow reflection actually, and go right along the front here. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to take some post-it notes right here. Post-it notes work great. Low tech is sometimes the best, right everybody? And then we'll take another post-it note right here. You know why post-it notes are so expensive? Because the guy who invented it still has a patent. So that's why post-it notes, you see the price for them, you're like, oh my God. Okay, so now we're set. We just got to make sure we know where to stop, right? So I'm going to get that color that we mixed. And Ryan says, oh, cool. Okay. And let's move this on up. So always look at your reference to make sure that you are paying attention to what you're spraying. Do you hear what the rock is spraying? Or is that to hear what the rock is cooking? Okay, just make sure we get rid of anything that might be in the nozzle. Go for the low-hanging fruit. There we go. Let's see what we got, what we have. So what we're looking for is kind of like that shadow coming down. I think that was successful. And then we can come down and kind of bring that down a little bit. Let's see. And that's how we kind of create the environment of this window here. And Dwayne says, okay, cool. So 67% so far. Now, if you're seeing this on record, just go ahead and go ahead and vote on the poll. I don't know if the poll is still going to be open after it's live. I'm not sure, but if it is, even leave a message in the comment section. That would be cool. Let's see. Okay, so I have this color. I don't want to use it, but use it where it's not supposed to be. Let's see. So back here, we do have some areas where we can darken, and I'll do that right here. Right on this side here. Just trying to gain a little bit of clarity, maybe soften up some spaces here a little bit. Just soften this up. If you compress the values, you'll get a sense of things going further in space. Back here, we can blend this up. Okay. I'm going to use this color to calm down the brown of her hair. Ooh, a little bit of blowout, but the good thing is that this painting is so far has so many layers of paint. Even if you had a blowout, you just wipe that with a rag and no problem whatsoever. So that's really cool. So this particular paint I should have strained, and I'm paying for it now. And let's see if I could. I'm not big on eraser techniques, but we may try a little bit of erasing at this stage. Let's see. I'm not against it, it's just not for me. That's all. Let's see. Maybe a little bit of a more aggressive eraser there. Now this is a super hard eraser. Let me see if I have something a little more softer. This one looks good. Okay. That worked great. Okay. So now with this we can look for different areas that maybe we could create some texture. I'm going to do some here in her fabric. You see how at the end I like moving around, just making things a little bit better as I go. So next week's going to be a new project. It's going to be something totally along the same lines, but a totally different environment, something I haven't done before, and I think you all are going to love it. So it's going to be a surprise, so stay tuned next week. I'll be working on it this weekend, getting everything ready for the composition and everything, but a new element, so I think that's going to be fun for you all and for me as well. So I'm kind of hitting some of the textural areas, just like little circles and squiggly lines, and kind of getting that texture of the fur. Same thing here. It's not working as well here, more in the mid-tones, so not in the darks that much. So I'm going to hold off there. And then right here on her sleeve, let's see how this is working. Like I said, you know, with Wicked, it's not the best for erasing techniques. You would use illustration for that. But I like the challenge of Wicked, and also I love the fact that you have all the colors. So it's a toss-up, you know. If you give something away here, you pick it up there, you know. So Dwayne says he just don't get the time to do his own artwork anymore. You got to pay those bills, right, my friend? So definitely understand that. As Ryan would say, that this is your business. So after doing, you know, 10 hours at that, you want to do something else to kind of regenerate. Am I right? So you're not going to go ahead and paint after 10 hours of painting. So, or 12 hours, depending on your workload at the time. So definitely understand, that's for sure. And so what I'm going to do is keep that in the airbrush. I'm going to take out my Extreme Patriot 105. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for a really nice flesh tone for the darker areas of her hand. So I'm going to do that technique again. I'm going to look for the dark areas of her hand here. So according to this, I'm going to start with that same orange, and the mixture is going to be almost a pure orange, maybe just, yep, I would say almost a pure orange. And it's going to be 60% orange, 40% gray, and the gray is going to be a number 6 gray. So let's do that. So we're going to get a number 6 gray. We're going to move her aside. We're going to get the number 6 gray. We're going to mix that again. So we're going to take our white once more. And this is a much lighter white. I'm going to put that in here. And we're going to 40-11, 3-1 right away. And we're going to take, so it's going to be 60% of the orangey color. Right, so now I do have this red here, so I'm going to put a little bit of red in here. Then I'm going to get me my Wicked Orange. I love the Wicked Orange. It has a nice strength to it. I'm going to put that over here. And now we're going to make this a light. Let me shake this a little bit. Exactly, you want to decompress, right? So that's so true. So I just put a little bit in here and let's see what that does. Yeah, that's about as dark as I want to get. Okay, so it's going to be 60% of this red-orange color. And I would say about 40% of this here. Actually, we'll put this way. I went the wrong way. Let's see. Very good. Very close. We may have to get a little bit lighter, but that's a really good fleshy color. And the fact that it looks much darker in the bottle, I mean in the cup, that's because it's condensed, right? So we'll just dilute it a little bit more. And that should get us to where we want to be. Maybe just a little bit more of this gray. And you see that's a really rich kind of flesh tone. And you'd be surprised how fast this goes, how fast you mix your colors. Okay, so I have my Extreme Patriot 105. Let's do this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that aside, and we're going to get a Post-it note, and we're going to see how this color is, how it feels. And okay, make sure everything is working correctly. Maybe I'll just dilute it a little bit more. Seems to be a little bit rough going through that airbrush. Let's see if this helps matters. Yeah, I'm just having a hard time with my airbrushes today. It happens, right? It just, some days, you know, your airbrushes just do everything you want. I didn't change anything with cleaning them. There we go. Okay, so sometimes your airbrushes are temperamental for no apparent reason. I cleaned out the nozzle just like I always do. I never leave them, you know, overnight. So let's see how this goes. So we're getting a nice flesh color for her hands. And Dwayne says, at the beginning, did you do this for having fun by doing your artwork? If so, how do you get that back? Great question, Michael. Okay, so we're going to have this flesh color. Okay, when this happens, I really recommend stop and go and clean your airbrush. That's what I'm going to do. You guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to give this a cleaning. For some reason, there might be something in that cup. We don't know. In the nozzle. But it's unacceptable. So you never want to work with something like that. It's just unacceptable. It's best to stop what you're doing and even paint again tomorrow after you fix your airbrush. But never cough on your painting, except especially in this late stage here. So I'm going to get my Q-tips, my wrench, and I will be right back, guys. It'll be approximately 1 minute 30 seconds. Thanks for waiting, everybody. So the airbrush is a pretty simple piece of equipment. There can only be really a few things that are happening. I did all the low-hanging fruit, so that told me that the problem has to be in the nozzle, and this will fix it. Plus, I'm learning my lesson, and I'm going to go ahead and strain the paint. So that could have been it. Now, when you clean your brush really fast, sometimes water will get in the well here. So, because I took it apart. So I just put some air through there, and that takes care of that. And put this back. So, airbrush is operational. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to strain this paint, because it could be the cold weather, it could be a lot of different variables that is causing this. So I have my paint strainer, and I have my paint, and I'm gonna see right there, I'm going to do it off camera. There we go. So this is going to strain this paint. Oh, look at that. I have the bottom on there. Isn't that funny, guys? There's a cap, and I have the cap on there. So that's hilarious. Okay, so just going to open this. Okay, I'm going to put this aside. And now we're going to try this again. So we're going to take my young lady away. Take her away over here. And with this strainer, I'll just pour some in. Now, of course, it's going to strain nicely. I'm going to put this back on here. And now we should have paint to die for. And let's see here. Much better. Okay, so now we'll just put this aside and we'll bring back our young lady and we'll kind of put some color in her hands here. There we go. There we go. Very much more acceptable flow of paint here. And notice we have the right flesh color. So yeah, if your airbrush is like really acting up and you tried all the other things, then it's definitely important to stop and reassess the situation. Just clean out that airbrush. Definitely recommend that. Airbrushing is hard enough. To compound that and try and get a paintbrush that's acting up kind of work against you. I always have my test paper over here. Put this here with the magnet. Make sure this is put back together correctly. Get rid of any moisture that might be in inside the body. Get rid of that. And let's see what I missed. I do that, let's see. Let's see what we have. Michael says, Dwayne at the beginning, okay. And Dwayne says, I do that periodically, Michael, but have to. Brad says, don't forget to smash the like button. Thank you, sir. And Dwayne says he tries to do a painting every couple of months just for him and use those mostly to donate to charity. That's cool. Brad says, Dwayne, what ratio do you mix 4011 to 4050 when you're mixing up the finish coat? Great question. And I hear you, Dwayne. So good conversation going on out there. Okay, we're just going to continue with these fingers. That nice flesh color we mixed there, which is great. Okay, so you really have to make the airbrush do what you want it to do, and if it doesn't, then you go ahead and you make sure that it's nice and it's working for you. So you see, like I said, it's very cold in the studio. That might be causing some issues. taking that kind of warm flesh color and put it on her chin. There, like that. Okay, so now we have this kind of warm flesh color, and I'm looking, and I think we could use a little bit of this in the kind of blurry figures in the background. And let's go ahead and thin this out drastically. Let's see. Okay. Alright, so we're going to practice here first. So I'm putting some dark flesh tone on some of the figures. Just kind of so we know exactly what's going on a little bit back there. A little bit of interest. Great. Perfect. Okay, so now we could probably go back to some brush techniques, but I'm not sure. Let me see if we could maybe what would be something to do here. Let's look at this painting. So I do like a lot that's going on right now. It is not too much to do, but just something. Let's go ahead and with the paintbrush techniques, and let's work on her eyebrows. I think that would be a good way to bring it on home. So we're going to, because there's a lot of negative space in the eyebrows, and I think definitely that's paintbrush technique territory. So we are getting close to the end of this painting. So it's going to be the end of this painting for the live stream basically, which is good. And let's see here. So very good conversation. Kind of like a light protective layer between the art and the thinner base coat. Very cool. Brad says what he's after is to protect the surface already painted so he can put FPS over it. Is that tape? Oh, okay. So that's good. So I know Dwayne would have a good answer about that. So he's the right person to talk to. So we are getting the wet palette back. And so with the wet palette, you have to spread this over. And again, it's always tricky because if you don't have enough water, it kind of won't work. So let's kind of put this out here like this. Let's redo this, reposition it. I highly recommend these. It's a little temperamental at first, but once it's situated, you don't have to move it for like a week. So, let me get her out of the way. Persephone. So what do you all think of this statement that you have to destroy good to get the great? What do you think of that? What comes to mind with that expression? You have to be willing to destroy good to achieve great when it comes to your painting. What do you all think about that? See, what I'm doing is really getting it to adhere to the surface, like so. Okay, so we're going to get our cup full of water and a cup full of 4011. And a cup of 4011. So let's get our water here. And then a little cup of 4011, which I did have and I did use for something else. Okay. Now we're going to use, I believe, Detail Raw Umber or Raw Sienna. Raw Umber. Let's see if I can get that. I did see that right here. Detail Raw Umber. I'm going to put that down. And I want to lighten it up. So I'm going to lighten it up with one of Tim Gore's colors. And the color I like, let's go with Light Natural. Nope, that's too light. We got Natural, Light Olive Gold. Let's try that. We're going to mix those two together. So Dwayne says he's kind of torn with that statement. And I can understand that because, you know, now here's my thoughts on it. And I can understand because, you know, when you have a job, right, you want to finish it. And if you already have it good, then you want to go on to the next job. So I definitely understand that. For me, the way that I look at it is that when I mean like this, be prepared to destroy good to get the great. So to experiment when you're at that status quo, right? So let's say you hit that status quo where you're doing really well and everything, but you want to take it to that next level. So you have to experiment to possibly take your lumps, right? And to maybe ruin a good painting or two to get to the great painting. And that's my feeling on it. What do you think of that in that way? Okay, so I'm going to very quickly, I'm going to go clean off my screens and I'll be right back. Okay, so that was pretty quick. Cleaned off this screen. Let me put it away. Okay, so now we're going to take our Detail Raw Umber and the Light Olive from Tim Gore's Lifeline. And we're going to paint her eyebrows. Okay. And Dwayne says you can also tack the, oh, good FBS information, which is great. And so it's very important to get the expression, and you can see how coming in and the raw umber and the light olive by Tim Gore's Lifeline really is the ticket. Even though she has dark eyebrows, you do not want to go in with dark, you know? You don't want to go in black. That's for sure. And the thing is, when you do paintbrush technique, it's going to come on dark and then it's going to lighten up, which is comforting. Now I'm going to show you all, you know, what I do once this dries. Is I am going to come in with just the light olive color, and maybe I'll add some of Tim Gore's Light Natural to this. And we're going to paint the negative shapes in her eyebrows, and that's going to give it a really nice realism. So you're seeing a lot of glare. It's okay. And I have a rag, so I'm just going to make sure that I kind of get rid of excess moisture. Okay. See how I get some of those negative shapes out of there? Same thing down the bottom. And now we'll do the other eyebrow. And that's more of a darker color, so I'm going to use just the pure light olive. Kind of use this. We're in the finishing touches of this painting as far as the live stream. I still have about an hour or so to go, and I'll post that up on Facebook and Instagram. And Michael says that changed his artwork around a lot once he started the paintbrush using. I'm telling you, it really is great, isn't it? Take care, Mr. Todd. Always a pleasure. Rick, how's it going? Rick says, watching me paint truly inspires you as well as resets his artistic soul. You're an inspiration and a darn nice guy. Thank you. And I'm right back at you, Rick. Always a pleasure. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. And Dwayne says, I think we'll give it a try on his next piece. Oh, the paintbrush technique? That's great. And Brad says, another great feed. Thanks, Tim. You really knocked this one out of the park. Thanks, Brad, for hanging out. Really appreciate you. And Dwayne says you can also tack the FBS on the shirt. Oh, cool. So that's great information. And let's just hit some lights here. So here we are. It's 11:30, and I think we had a great live stream, everybody. Mr. Mike, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me on this Wednesday night. So this is basically where we are with this young lady. That's probably a lot brighter, so that's probably where we are. So not bad. I think we're doing pretty good. This is going to be it for this painting. I'm going to work on it. Then I'm going to put the varnish on, and the varnish I'm using is Gavar Gloss, which I really love. And so this is basically Persephone #3 Underground. And Michael says, thanks so much for showing off your work. Yes, great stuff. Oh, and thank you, Dwayne. Another great Wednesday spent with great people. Thank you, Dwayne, for hanging out with me and us. The live stream is not the same without you, sir. So thank you for all your expertise. Everyone, Mr. Rick, everybody for hanging out. I just want to say thank you so much. There's going to be an impromptu live stream this week going with the Airbrush for Oil Painting series. I'm going to do a regular video on finishing this up. So a lot of good content coming down. Mike says she's looking marvelous. Thank you, my friend. Everyone stay warm out there, okay? And thanks, Bobby. I really appreciate you. You guys are all fantastic. So stay warm, and I will talk to you soon. And happy painting.